institutions. He says that society is best understood if we study it from its institutions. You know, many years ago, Aristotle and Plato and all those people had believed in the so-called philosopher king. Have you heard of the philosopher king? Aristotle said that there will be no deliverance for the city-state. Those days, the city-state. There will be no deliverance for, say, Ghana or for Cape Verde, unless philosophers became kings, or those who are kings already were given philosophical knowledge. That is the idea of the philosopher king. So Aristotle was saying that unless philosophers became kings, or kings became philosophers, there will be no deliverance for the city-state. There will be no improvement. Now, many years later, Karl Popper says that no, that is not the most important question. The most important question is not who is the philosopher king to govern, but what institutions and structures are most effective in limiting the damaging effects of bad and incompetent leaders, so that we may have a very bad leader, we may have a very incompetent leader, but if you have strong institutions, he cannot have his way. So Karl Popper was stressing on the need to build institutions, and by the time liberal governmentalism was shifting, these ideas were actually taken from Popper. I remember when Obama came to Ghana, when he won the elections and came to Ghana, and he spoke to the parliament, and he said that Africa doesn't need strong men. Africa needs institutions. Institutions that work. So the idea of institutions, the theory of institutional building, also became part of the theories later that explained Europe. Now, institutionalism itself also came under attack. And many Europeans, both government and civil societies, believe that it is important for the people, the rank and file of the people, it's important for their voices to be heard. And so, from institutionalism, developed the idea of constitutionalization. Now, racial integration is seen as a process of constitutionalization, that people would have the right and the power to determine. So you saw what happened recently in Great Britain. They voted to stay out of the European Union. France is now wavering. Other countries might decide not to join the European Union. And so we see how over the years, different theories have been put in place to explain regional integration or European integration. And each of these theories have their own merits and demerits. And one of the things I want you to do is to look at the theoretical merits or otherwise of these various theories. Is that okay? Are you with me? I've been asked to make sure you understand what we are supposed to be doing, or what, to summarize this brief intervention, to summarize it. Theories have been developed. The document, these documents. Yeah, you get them there for you. Yeah. In fact, most of what I'm saying here, you can read them here. You can read them here. And this is one of the very important documents. It's about the theory and practice of regional integration, but it's based on Europe. We are using Europe because that is where we have a very successful attempt at regional integration globally. And most of the theories have been developed in Europe. So first of all, I want you to understand what neo-functionalist theories are saying. What is neo-functionalism? What are they saying? What is the merit of neo-functionalism? Is the idea of a spillover feasible? Is it possible? Can that explain Africa's? But later on, we'll come to Africa and we will see how Nkrumah and Cabral and all these people began to criticize them, that you can't have a political integration all of a sudden. You must start. It should be a gradual process. And the neo-functionalists are gradualists. And they see integration as a build-up. You start with some cooperation, as the Europeans did with coal and steel. And then there's a spillover that, if it becomes successful, leads or becomes an incentive for cooperation in other areas. And as time goes on, there is increased impetus to integrate and so on and so forth. So the idea of neo-functionalism is to say that sectors of the economies, if they cooperate, would eventually lead to integration. They will spill over into integration. Now, this idea, this theory, suffered a major crisis in 1958, when rather than these cooperations leading to bigger integration, France raised an objection that if we are going to use majority decisions, it doesn't always mean that the majority is right. The majority can be wrong. And if any country has a problem or a reservation based on specific national interest, then that country should be heard. And that led to a shift in emphasis from neo-functionalism to the liberal governmentalism. And it's called liberal governmentalism because the liberal aspect of it gives nations the options to state their opinions. It follows the logic of diversity. And governmentalism is there because there is interstate negotiations. So when there is a decision and the majority takes it, different countries that have problems with the decision may have to enter into state negotiations. And that is how neo-functionalism was destabilized. Then the idea of governmental negotiations and the creation of space based on the logic of diversity was also confronted at some point with the fact that if states are going to decide, if nations and governments are going to decide, what becomes of the European institutions? What are the institutions doing? Are they there just to implement decisions? So institutionalism emerged, very powerful theory of European integration. And then, after some time, because of pressures and because of the development of civil society, some countries in Europe, the Germans and the French were very much concerned, but the British, the Scots, Norway, some other countries felt that the decision to join the Union or not would have to be determined through a referendum. You know what a referendum is? A plebiscite. And that begins the perception of integration as a process of constitutionalization. Now, put this question down. I want you to put the following question down. Discuss. Are you with me? Yes. So if I say put this question down, I want you to write it down.